Okay, so I know I'm super late with this video. I know that season 2 has come and gone, and season 3 is either currently still going or it's come and gone by the point I'm recording this video. But I have finally put off watching it for whatever reason because I just chose to stop watch. I chose to not watch it, and then I forgot about it, and then I started hearing about it recently again. And I was like, hey, I liked it the first time, so let's go for season 2. Anyways, I want to talk about season 2 of Invincible. I just finished it. I have a lot of thoughts and whatnots. Yeah, I will be breaking this and structuring this by talking about the characters, the arcs they go through, what I like, what I didn't like, my overall thoughts. Yeah, that's kind of the structure of this. It's a lot more free flowing and loosey goosey with the thoughts and the commentary. So bear with me, and here we go. All right, so starting this off with Debbie and Mark. Now I'm gonna talk about them jointly, then kind of separate them. So I liked how season 2 tackles the aftermath of the events of season 1. Right. I think a lesser show would have definitely just time skipped like a year or 6 months or however long forward, and we would have seen some remnants of the just the trauma that they're undergoing. But seeing the trauma still raw, seeing the wounds still fresh, I think is it's good. It's good because one, they showcase it well, but also it makes me care about these two and what they've gone through more as I'm seeing them navigate through this new reality they find themselves in. So specifically for Mark now, right? Now I think that the character arc and journey that he went on this season were intriguing, right? I liked it. So the idea of a hero navigating their hero life with their new superpowered life is not a new one. Like we've seen that in comics and other stuff across different media. But the incorporation of his father and the impact his dad had on himself, but also the world, and that being another weight that he's carrying and trying to navigate and trying to prove that he's different from, is really interesting. I really, 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 really like that, and I think that it adds something else to this trope that's been tried and true and can be a bit stale at times. It just made me care more. Seeing him navigate his relationship, seeing him navigate being invincible, and also navigate his trauma and the trauma that his father left on the world, it keeps me engaged. I was engaged, I was intrigued, I wanted more, and I got it, and I really liked the direction they took his character and how they utilized the betrayal of Omni Man. Like I liked it. I like how it impacted the season and Mark as a character. Speaking of Omni Man, I liked. Speaking of Omni Man, I liked Mark's interactions with him. Right. So I'll talk about Omni Man a little later, but specifically Mark's interaction with him were really interesting. Like the portrayal of it felt genuine. So seeing someone who was traumatized, who was just gone through what they went through, and seeing their father unexpectedly for the first time, and the mix of emotions, the betrayal, the anger, the frustration, but the care they still has for him, I think it was really handled and showcased very, very well. And seeing Mark still shoulder the burden, seeing him when he talked to his wife's, not his wife, his dad's new wife, I'm Thrax, I forgot her name, but about how he's like, he doesn't blame her, he's just upset or hurt or something. Like that recognition was good, and it just made the whole Mark character arc this season even more interesting for me, right? I really liked it. I think they did a good job with showcasing that, and the fact that it wasn't expected. You know, if I expected him to go and meet his father in Thrax, it wouldn't have hit as hard. Me being caught off guard alongside Mark, I think was done really well. I don't know. I just really like how Mark was handled this season. Also, Mark grappled with a lot of personal conflict, but it was instigated by outside stuff. So we saw him when he went against Anissa, the Viltrumite, who came and just like curb stomped him basically. And the point she was making, I'll touch on this a little bit more, were somewhat valid, especially given the I'm blinking. Wow. Especially given the things he said he valued. I think that what she said really made him, or at least should have made him stop and consider, like, yo, is this the best option? You know, if it wasn't for her, so many people would have died. And then with other people who are like her, I mean, basically being rulers of this world, is that the worst option if my goal is to save as many people as possible? I'm not saying it is or isn't, but it's like I think it's something that should make him think a bit more. At the very least, from what I saw, he was like, "Yeah, I need to get stronger," because he was getting waxed. He got waxed, and it was ridiculous. But also just seeing in terms of him fighting, seeing him fight the Viltrumites on Thraxa, I think that's the planet. I think it's the planet with the Thraxans. I think so. And how he was holding back and like how he had to let go of that. But even in that, he still left himself open to being almost killed because of his, I guess, humanity. Let's just say his not wanting to kill someone. Like seeing him struggle with fighting people and like needing to go all out, but not wanting to take their life was an interesting dynamic. And also, there were certain parallels with like him and his father of like how they're having to let go of certain parts of themselves to embrace other parts in order for the greater well-being. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. The very end where Mark is, well, he kills Angston. He kills him. I didn't expect that. The way he was processing it made sense. It felt authentic. It felt good. And it just felt like that's where his story was going. I'm gonna be honest. I personally don't think that he was in the wrong for killing old boy, but I do think that like the fact that he killed him not out of like, for lack of words, in his right mind, he was anger, and he let his anger take the front seat when he killed him. I think that's where the line should be. We shouldn't cross that line, right? But seeing him grapple with it, seeing him deal with it, I don't know. I think the character of Mark this season was just handled well, which is needed because this is Invincible. Like, this is about Invincible. And seeing him embrace more of his Viltrumite side, but also trying to not become his father, I think was an interesting way to take the story. And I like it. I do. Now we also got to talk about Debbie, because Debbie, I feel, again, I really, 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 really liked the fact that they showcased Debbie navigating through her struggles. And also, her struggles are so unique. She went to the support group. Yeah, that's what it's called. And look, she can't grieve the same way they can. She can't. And her talking about like how her experience is not like theirs, because the person she would grieve is still alive. Yes, the Nolan she knew is gone, but the individual is still alive and still potentially causing more harm. And just living with that is hard. I liked it. I did. I liked the fact that she felt realized. I felt like we saw her. And even though she wasn't the sole focus of the whole season, she was an important part of it, and I really liked that. Also, I gotta say, when Angstrom broke her arm, bro, I'm gonna be honest. I had to pause the show. I'm like, you know what? I need a second. Because like that, and how she was still concerned for Oliver. She didn't say, yo, my arm is hanging by a thread. She was like, yo, where's Oliver? Ollie, are you good? I'm like, bro, she a real one. Because I would have been like, respectfully forget Oliver, because my hand is hanging by a thread.
F them kids. F those kids. I ain't worried about no kids.
But nah, I think I really liked her this season. I think season 1, she didn't feel insignificant, but I liked her, but I didn't care too much about her till the very end. And this season, I cared about her a lot more, if that makes sense, given the story and whatnot that happened. And now, since we're talking about Invincible, we're talking about Mark, we're talking about Debbie, we gotta talk about Nolan. Now, his character arc felt apparent. I mean, seeing the end of season 1, it kind of felt like he would go in this direction. And the betrayal of it caught me off guard. Now, again, I expected his character to go in this direction, but seeing how he was on Thraxa, I think that's the name of the planet. I'm gonna keep calling it Thraxa, but the one with the purple bug creatures caught me completely off guard. Seeing him have a whole other family and trying to do better for them than he did for Mark and Debbie completely caught me off guard. But it makes sense. And even seeing like his reaction to why, like when he held Mark by the throat and was like, why do I feel this way? Blah, blah. Again, I will say, bro, I mean, maybe we don't try to choke out your son. Like, come on. But it makes sense. He's not just some morally great person now. He's been alive, I think, for hundreds of years. I think, if not thousands. I think. I could be wrong. When you've been conditioned and taught things a certain way for hundreds of years, where it's embedded in who you are, and you've been praised for it, to go against that and to change it, it's not going to be just like that. It's going to be, you're going to have a whole, like, not midlife crisis, but like a crisis of identity. And I think we're seeing him go through that. And I think the betrayal of it and seeing, like, what he's trying to do, but like not understanding it and all the other stuff and like the depression, all the other stuff we see of him this season, I think it was handled in a better way than I expected it to be. And I really appreciated that. Yeah, I think where I'm at now with Nolan is season one, I felt negative towards him. I felt strong negativity, right? Now I feel strong neutrality. Depending on what he does moving forward, he can either go towards a positive space or a negative space. And either can be fine. I don't need him to be a good character for me, but I don't want to feel nothing towards him. And even though I feel a strong neutrality towards him, it's not because I feel nothing towards him. It's because I don't know whether to feel good or bad about him. But his character is handled well, if that makes sense. Hope that makes sense. Also, his final words when he said, I think I miss my wife. I'm going to be honest. I rolled my eyes a little bit. I was like, bro, I could have told you that. But I understand why this was a big revelation for him. I get it. And also, again, I've seen this stuff on social media before I watched it, so it wasn't surprising 100%. But when it happened, I still wasn't expecting it fully because I had forgotten they said it. So yeah, this next one won't be that long. Let's talk about the Guardians of the Globe. I'm going to be completely honest. For most of this season, I didn't care about them. Seeing Rudy talk with Monster Girl and ask her out on a date and be like, that was cool. That was fine. I just didn't care. Seeing the Immortal come in and take the lead role, I was a little surprised. Like, oh, he's back. Oh, I didn't really care too much. But I will say, when Kate, when Shrinking Gray and then Rex were fighting, and they were like just dropping like flies, I was like, whoa! I said, whoa! Because again, just like the Guardians of the Globe, I thought they were gonna be kind of fodder. I was like, oh, these are lizard people. They're gonna be fodder. They were wrecking. They were clearing the Guardians. Also, I will say the Guardians feel like the Guardians in season 1 felt strong and capable. In season 2, even the end of season 1, like after the original Guardians died and they got replaced, this new group of Guardians feels so like underwhelming. They don't feel like powerhouses. They don't feel like, yeah, these guys, I'd be scared of them. It feels like, I'm gonna be honest, any villain you fight against has a 50-50 shot at beating you. I'm gonna be honest. But I will say, when Kate seemingly died, when Shrinking Ray seemingly died, when Rex got shot in the head, I was just like, what is happening? But that's why I started caring more. And not even about all the Guardians. I cared most about Rex at that point in time. Yeah, I will say, by the end of the season, I cared more about Rex than I was expecting to. At the end of season 1, I didn't hate Rex. I thought he was a douchebag. I think because he was a douchebag. At the end of season 2, he's just a bag. It's character growth. It's character progression. He's the person I care about most, I think. The only other thing that I cared about, well, one of the only things I cared about was the relationship between the Immortal and Kate. I'm gonna be honest, initially I was like, this is weird. This is strange. She is thousands of years old, and she's like, what, 18, 19, maybe 20, but she's probably like 18 or 19. This is weird. When she gave her reasoning to Rex as to why she's with the Immortal, it made sense. I kind of appreciated her reasoning. It's still weird, but at least the reasoning has some weight behind it, if that makes sense. Okay, so we gotta talk about Angstrom Levy. Levy? I must say Levy, but I don't think that's right. So first, his powers felt overpowered as mess. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, creating portals to other dimensions just feels overpowered. And the way he used him towards the end against Mark felt like he's a global level threat. Like, what are we talking about? But I will be honest. After the accident, I didn't care about him that much. But I felt like that was kind of the point. Like, he wasn't top of mind. And then when we saw him at the end of like episodes, I was curious what was happening. But I wasn't solely focused on, ooh, what's Angstrom finna do? Like, it wasn't my thought process. But I think it was either the last or second to last episode where he became like full villain. Oh, he was hateable. He was a great villain. Like, I liked hating him. Like, he made me feel so much anger towards him. And that's what a villain's supposed to do. And given how little he was in the series up until this point, he was like in the background plotting and just doing all this other stuff. For me to have such strong negative feelings towards him, I think was just effective writing, in my opinion. He didn't overstay his welcome. He didn't derail from other plot elements and plot progressions. But he still pushed the character arcs forward in Debbie and Mark. He was an effective antagonist. Even if he wasn't the main antagonist throughout the series, he was an effective antagonist. I had nothing wrong with. I don't have anything. No problem with him. No problem with him. I will say also the point that Debbie made about the reality they were living in being the only one, or the seemingly only one, where Mark was good and where Levy, where Angstrom was evil. I hadn't thought about that until she said it, but it stuck with me after, and I was like, it feels like such an obvious thing, but I missed it. And so when it was pointed out, I'm like, oh, yeah, you're the problem. It's you. Truly a great moment. He was a good character, great character. Speaking of characters that I liked, this next character I think I love. Let's talk about Alan. Don't have a lot to say. I will say, I thought Alan died. When he was fighting the Viltrumites in space, getting like destroyed in front of your girl sucks. And not because of like an ego thing of like, oh, well, your girl shouldn't see you like that. No, the trauma for her. Seeing your loved one get the mess beat out of them in space and you can't help them. The trauma from that, especially with how he was dying. He had his arm cut off. He had his eye hanging out of his head. And he even said he could see his body with his own eye that's hanging out of his... And then he had like his stomach was like pierced through, like his guts were spilling out into outer space. What are we talking about? Even if the art style and animation is not top tier from Invincible, One thing they will do is they will show gory scenes, and it'll be very clear what they're showing. And good grief, I think he got the worst beatdown of everyone in the series, and that including Invincible. I will stand by that for this season. Good grief. And I was like, my boy, Alan. I should have known when they showed like his little slice of life stuff. I should have known. I should have known. And then, when there's revealed that, oh, he's in the healing pod. I was like, okay, maybe he'll come back. Maybe he'll come back. And then the freaking, I forgot the guy's name, but let's just call him the Great Leader guy. When he turned the thing off, I was like, oh, so the Great Leader guy, he was actually the sellout the whole time. And now for sure, Alan's dead. Okay, well, dang. Why did you get my hopes up if he was going to die? And then we found out that the old leader guy actually was trying to make Alan stronger. And Alan, by almost dying, got stronger. So he got a Zenkai boost. So Alan's a confirmed Saiyan. Good to know. My guy was swole. I was like, yo, not much to say besides.
Bro tough. Bro tough for real. I can't cap on him. Bro tough.
Okay, so I also want to talk about, I guess the next few characters I'm about to name. I don't have a lot of thoughts on. That could be a lie, but I have thoughts. So Adam Eve, I like her character arc this season. She wasn't in it as much as I would have liked because I just like the character. She's interesting to me. But given her powers, I figured it'd be hard to like have her go through any like development as a hero. Like when you can like change matter as you see. It's almost like, how do you develop someone? How do you make someone grow when they don't have, like, what hurdles and shortcomings can they have to deal with? And for her, it's the consequences of having powers and what she needs to do and how to be responsible, which I think a lot of the season was like responsibility. I think for her, showing how to take responsibility, well, I don't think we've gotten there yet, but her reflecting on it and being more considerate and intentional, especially with the power that she has, because like it's so like OP, I liked. Yeah, I wish we got more of her, but I understand why we didn't. Also, I've been shipping her and Mark since season 1. I'm gonna be honest, I like her and Mark more than I like Mark and Amber. Hopefully in season 3 we see it. I don't know. Maybe people watching have seen it and I haven't yet. I think that's where it's going, but I want to see them together. Speaking of relationships, we gotta talk about Amber. So for Amber, this season, I actually like Amber. Season 1, I didn't. She felt like obviously selfish, and being selfish isn't necessarily negative. It doesn't have to be, but the ways in which she was selfish, or at least communicating it, just rubbed me the wrong way. It was a little frustrating. So I'm like, there's something here that it makes sense for you to be frustrated about, but the way you're voicing it, what you're saying, is not doing a good job communicating it. This season, she did a good job with it. I was like, hey, yeah, cool. The growth she underwent and how it tied to Mark this season felt natural, felt like this makes sense, but also her growth wasn't reliant on Mark, because Mark's absence also promoted growth and helped her recognize certain things that she wanted from a relationship and didn't want from her life, right? Completely valid. And her choosing to break up with Mark, especially given what had been happening leading up to this point, it made complete sense. Typically in a lot of shows, people will break up because that wasn't the main love interest or because they wanted to create attention. This felt like a natural breakup. I don't blame Mark. I don't blame Amber. This felt like a genuine, y'all should not be together right now because of what you guys value and what you want to value. It makes sense for you guys to no longer be together. At least not in a romantic relationship. Yeah, this season, I really liked Amber. Okay, I'm almost done. Viltrumites, the Viltrumites. I don't have a lot of thoughts on them overall. I mean, seeing them and having the Mark interact with them was cool. I liked that. They're interesting. Like they feel like strong fodder, but they also have a little bit of personality, so that was interesting. I didn't have any strong feelings until Anissa. She has presence. Oh my gosh, like the way she entered the scene and like was threatening freaking Amber. I was like, yo, hey, let's finish our dinner first. Let's finish eating first, because I feel like they're doing a little too much here. And the way what she was saying about Viltrum to Mark felt like convincing. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not saying like he needs to join the Viltrum Empire, but given what he said was important to him and how she countered his arguments, I thought she did so in a convincing way. So when she was upset that he didn't join her, to me it made complete sense, because it's like, logically, you're not making sense. When I showcase what we're capable of and how it's superior to you, and you're one of your Earth's greatest heroes. So imagine having more of me who can do stuff like this to help save more people. When you're important, what's important to you is saving the world and saving people, but there's people in your world who are actively harming the world, and yet they're still alive. How does this make sense? What are we doing? What's the logic in that? She made some valid points. She gave him the beatdown. She dipped, and then she lost to Alan. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, she beat Alan, but Alan won that fight, I don't know. I liked her. I like her, and I'm hoping that next season we get other Viltrumites and hopefully her that have personality and presence. I think because of how strong they will have presence, but like it wasn't because of her strength that she had presence. That was partially it, but it wasn't solely it. I think her demeanor and how she like her nonchalantness also carried something. And I'm hoping that the other Viltrumites don't have the same nonchalantness, but have something else that makes them unique and makes them feel imposing. Also, seeing Mark fight the Viltrumites both on Thraxa and also on Earth, you need to get stronger, bro. It's not even like a slight at you, but like, I'm gonna be honest. Alan, Mark, and maybe Nolan. These are the only people who I actually think, right, I guess Battle Beast, but we haven't seen him since season 1, so whatever, are the only people that can actually stand up against any Viltrumites. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. So Mark needs to get stronger, but I'm gonna be honest. Like the Guardians of the Globe, y'all can't stop a Viltrumite invasion. Y'all can't stop one Viltrumite. I'm gonna be honest. So when I saw like how strong and imposing the Viltrumites were, he better be hitting that time skip training arc because he's Mark, they need you. Earth needs you. Alan, Earth needs you. Nolan, Earth needs you, bro. Because if not, it's not gonna be hard. It's not gonna be hard for it to be taken over. I'm gonna be honest. All right, let me talk about the overall story, just everything together. I really enjoyed season 2. I think they covered a lot of narrative ground in 8 episodes. I mean, yeah, it was 40 minutes per episode, but still, I think they did a lot in a good way. It didn't feel rushed. But they covered a lot of ground. And I feel like the themes that they showcased of responsibility, dealing with trauma, dealing with grief, and everything else were handled really well. And like the character arcs were done just well. Like the most important character arc is Invincible. Was handled with poise, with grace, with excellence. And everyone else around him, Nolan, Debbie, Adam Eve, right? They had some really good development. And it was just really, really good. I think this was like a showcase of like really great writing, and the voice acting was also really, really good. Was really good. Now the art and animation, I know that Invincible doesn't have the biggest budget from what I've heard, and they didn't have live animators I think on this season, either this season or season 3. But so I think given their constraints, I think it came out really well. Yeah, I'd like for it to be improved, but I think it came out really, really well. I will say it never felt like the animation or the art style took me out of the experience. I may have noticed, oh, that looks like a PNG flying across the screen and not someone actually flying. But it wasn't like it took me out of the experience of Invincible. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, something I noticed, but like I'm still hooked on the show, right? So I think that's an accomplishment, right? Given your constraints, you're still putting out something that is at least good, at least serviceable, right? And then on the other fronts, the writing, the voice acting, everything else was just done really well. I really enjoyed this season. I think I like this more than the first season, actually. I think the big reveal of who Nolan was maybe a little bit more gripping, but everything else I think I like more, and I really enjoyed season 1. So it's not a slight in season 1. I just think season 2 like took what season 1 did well and elevated it. You know, which I'm happy. I'm happy with that. I'm excited for what comes next in season 3. I've seen some stuff on social media, but I don't have the proper context. So when I actually see it for myself, I could be surprised by what it actually is. I think that's basically it. If you want to hear me talk about more stuff that I'm watching, that's kind of the realm I'm currently exploring. So talking about anime, talking about other shows and movies that like I'm excited for, that I watch, that I have feelings and thoughts on. Subscribe to the channel. Love to have you here. Let me know also in the comment section what your thoughts, okay, I'll try again. What your thoughts are for season 2. And also without spoilers, what your thoughts are for season 3. If you think it's better than season 2, and if you think that I should be excited going into it, or if it's gonna be like a little bit of a lull, let me know in the comment section. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you all for watching. I will be back at some point, hopefully soon, but we'll see. Yeah. So with all that being said, I have been Wheat. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.